Hello and thank you for joining me. This is my Mercury Rising channel and I am Rachel, bringing you Pacific Northwest news and views, and today I am really just doing an update because I haven't been posting videos for a few weeks and I was starting to feel really guilty about that, but I just wanted to give some explanation and not that's the beautiful thing about doing a thing like having a YouTube channel. I don't owe anyone an explanation, and that's not how I feel. It's more just that I want to have integrity about the way that I'm doing this, and this is something that really matters to me. So when I miss weeks of putting out videos, it's something that impacts me a lot. I regret not doing it because it's something that I get a lot of fulfillment and joy out of. So basically for the last few weeks, our family has been going up and down through some really weird stuff. My fiance's job is very stressful. He just started working, probably shouldn't give all the details, but basically he's doing technical support for a very technical company. And so he is doing work that is a lot more mentally strenuous than what he's ever been used to. So while that's happening and while he's adjusting to the idea of that, I feel like things have been extra stressful in our home. And on top of that, since he just started this job, there were a few weeks where he was not working in between there and the last job. And even though I do what I do with Grubhub, and that's really great because we haven't been completely flat on our face broke. You know, we've done things like eaten through all of our emergency savings and things like that because it's just, you know, having a low-income household and having one, the main bread earner out of work for 3 weeks is a pretty big emergency, and so that's just kind of how things went. And so at the moment, things have just been really tight and stressful on a personal basis. And so all of those things combined, since especially on my other channel, Ultra Human, I'm doing videos about really like how to be your best human and how to optimize your personal performance and things like that. I just didn't feel genuine sitting down to make videos about the topics that I have. Like, I have topics and script lists and things like that. It's not that I'm lacking for ideas or motivation to get out there and do it. It's just I didn't feel like I was coming from a very good place to be doing videos like that at the moment. So I hope everyone understands, and I'm sure everyone has been through things like that. So there we are. This is real life, and I feel like the holidays are always stressful, and it's either stressful because you're dealing with being around a lot of family members in close proximity, or it's the opposite and you can't go be around family members in close proximity. And I know that for us this last year, I know my mother-in-law had really wanted to fly us out to Georgia. That was not feasible. My partner, like I was just saying, he started at this new job. There's no way that we could leave the state for a week or two. In October, I lost my grandma. My family did come out here this summer, which meant that no one could afford to travel for Christmas. And so we were just home. And on top of that, even my stepson went to his mother's in Portland, which is great for him because he hasn't had it's been a few years since he's been able to spend Christmas Day with his mom, so that was good. But I feel like all of those things just kind of combined to make this kind of a weird holiday season. And, you know, losing my grandma's birthday is Halloween, and she passed away on the 13th of October, so that right there kind of started out to make you know, Halloween sort of kicks off the holidays, and I started the whole I was really kicking off doing these videos a lot right around that same time too. And so I feel like the last 6 months have been kind of a blur. And tell you one thing I am very grateful for is this phone with which I am recording this video now, and what has really made it possible for me to do what I'm doing now with my YouTube channel. I do have, you can see back there, it's a Nikon DSLR. It's, I guess I could bring it up here. This is my DSLR I got for myself back a few years ago when we had some money to, you know, put toward things like this. It's a D3200, and it is really not made for video. Really not made for video, but if you look earlier on this channel, you can see some videos that were taken with this. One of the first videos that actually has almost 100 views on it now, from my other channel, I did record on the DSLR, and then for some reason in the conversion and everything, trying to use OpenShot when I was editing it, it got compacted to some really low quality and stuff. I was really disappointed because it was, you know, shot so nice and clean, and then it showed up all weird. And but I mean, the audio's clear, and it wasn't a terrible video, and so people have watched it. But yeah, and so this phone that I have now that I'm currently recording on was, I put a down payment, a large down payment toward the cost of this phone, but I am on my aunt's cell phone plan. She was thoughtful and kind enough to put me on her cell phone plan after my one of my other grandparents passed away, my grandfather, a few years ago. I had been living, this is a whole other story, really, that deserves its own tale that I might get into one of these days. But essentially, I had moved, I lost a job, I moved in with some friends in McMinnville, and we got the bright idea that we should move to northern Washington, essentially to be like roadies for my friend's metal band. And at the time, it was a lot of, and I'll admit, it was a lot of fun. And the funny part about that is it was a lot of fun, and we really weren't partying. It wasn't anything like that. I had a job, but we just didn't have, I was one of 4 people who were all trying to live in a tent, and it was hard to find work. I happened to have a really good reference, and I was coming from a job where I was an assistant manager, and so it was easy for me to slip into an assistant managing position. And it was just very difficult for everyone else to get a job because they didn't, I think you gotta really know what you're doing to like maintain your hygiene and be able to like get up without having an alarm. Just like, there's a lot of weird things you don't think about, but when you live in a tent, like, you can't charge your phone at night, and so, like, in order to have an alarm, like, how are you gonna do that? You know, so just, there's lots of, like, little tricks, that you don't learn until you have given that a shot, and so, everyone was still on that learning curve, and it didn't go especially well, but basically, the point of that whole story is I couldn't afford to pay a phone bill at the time, and so I was not able to be in contact with my family other than people could and should have known that I was reachable through Facebook at the time, that I just didn't check it very often. But when I did, I could find messages. So I didn't hear that my grandfather had passed away. It was a very kind of sudden thing. Initially, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and which is a very long descent disease, and it was very shortly afterward. He had been misdiagnosed. He had a very different complication that presents very similarly to Parkinson's disorder, and so he passed very quickly, basically, and it was no fun. But I have gotten to talk to my step grandma quite a bit about how his last days were and his passing and everything. Everything was very well, but apparently it was no one could get a hold of me, and no one could figure out how to get a hold of me. So my aunt decided that she would put me on her phone plan because it doesn't cost them very much more to have an extra line on their cell phone plan, and just to guarantee that I would always have a phone. And that's the way it's been for several years now. The phone number I have is actually my sister's old phone number, and so the phone and the phone plan has been around the family for a while. But this last time, my phone it actually got lost. I thought it was gone forever. I did and eventually find it, which I was very glad because I had a lot of contacts I was upset about losing. But our family was about to go on vacation. We had already paid for the hotel and everything, and I did not want to leave for a vacation without a phone, and it had been a few weeks while I was looking for my phone already, and so we ended up deciding on this phone model. And I'm very glad that I did. I have really enjoyed it. I got an OtterBox cover for it right away because I know it would be broken in a million pieces right now if I did not have this phone case. So thank you, OtterBox. Not a sponsor, but I would be totally willing to endorse OtterBox because I swear to God, actually one of the tips I was going to give in a video I will be making about my evening routine. Part of my evening routine is that I will lay down in bed after I usually go to sleep listening to a podcast, to be completely honest, which I don't think is probably better for you, but if it's a podcast you've heard a million times, then it actually works very well for me personally to go to sleep to. And so once I've got my podcast on, I'll lay down in bed, and I will check the sleepyti.me, sleepy time, website has a little calculator, and if you hit I'm going to sleep now, it will tell you the different times that you should wake up, and so I'll usually select one that gives me about 4 REM cycles of sleep. I will set my alarm, and then I will literally throw my phone somewhere. I'll aim so that I'm not hurting something else, but this case is so nice that it can bounce off the wall and into the hallway and roll down the stairs, or bounce off the couch into the coffee table. Doesn't matter. This case is a beast, and so OtterBox. It's good stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to sit down and make this video. I am making my children wait because I wanted to get this done. It means a lot to me. And I guess, I will be coming out with a more well-edited version. I might cut a few things out of this video, but I will be back up and ready to go hopefully before the new year. I feel like there's a bit of a jinx on doing things right after the year begins, because it's kind of one of those everybody does their New Year's resolutions, which I am doing, don't get me wrong. It's just that I feel like when you, especially a big thing, for example, I'm quitting smoking. I've been smoking cigarettes on and off because I quit smoking while I was pregnant, and didn't pick it up until a little while after each of my kids was born. But I have been smoking on and off since I was 17 years old, and so it's been almost 10 years of smoking, and that hit me like a load of bricks, because you still feel very young at 27 years old, and so saying that you've been doing anything for 10 years is kind of a big deal, but to be like, oh, that thing I've been doing for the last 10 years is smoking cigarettes. And I just kind of decided that this year for Christmas to my family, I'm giving them the gift of having mom around for hopefully a few more years, and I'm just done with that. So I decided that I was going to give myself a few days of smoking as much of one cigarette as I needed to sort of feel the effects of it and let that pass. I've been already, and I'm going to be, once I feel like I'm over the hump of everything, I'm going to be making a video about how to quit smoking cigarettes on my Ultra Human channel as well. But basically, just the succinct version is that this has been a really long process for me, because a lot of it is just like, I know that it's not good for me, but I just don't want to. I just haven't really wanted to quit, because the fact is I no longer smoke cannabis. I haven't for years, and I have never really been a drinker. I didn't really pick up drinking coffee until like sometime after my son was born, so now I'm a bit more of a coffee addict, a caffeine addict, and I'm trying to switch. I haven't really made any steps toward this. I like the idea of drinking more like black and green teas than coffee, at least as often as I do. And a lot of that is less to do with the benefits of drinking teas and more about the drawbacks of the environmental impacts of growing so much coffee. But basically, cigarettes is just, it's my only thing. It's my only outlet that is kind of a altered state of consciousness. And I finally am to a point where actually what I think the deeper thing is that now I enjoy the altered state of consciousness that I get from intense exercise more than smoking. And the smoking is a barrier to reaching that as often as I would like. I want the energy and I want the physical capacity to push myself more with exercise rather than the joy. There's a joy in smoking cigarettes, and I'm over that now. I think it's just, I'm at that point in my life where it's not the thing that I want anymore. And that's what I've really been not waiting for, because it hasn't been a completely passive process. I definitely have been seeking what's that thing that's going to push me to see myself as a person that doesn't smoke cigarettes. And now I can see it. I can see myself as the person who jumps on the opportunity to get out and go on a hike, or go ride a bike with a friend, or whatever that thing is going to be that's being physically active. I can see myself as that person now, and I'm not there yet so much, although I get out and do things with the kids and things like that. But a lot of that, I think, is just because as a smoker, you really limit your lung capacity, literally, and just all kinds of things like that. So I'm over that now. I'd rather be the physically active version of myself than the smoker version of myself, because that's never really been something that I thought was especially cool. But I really enjoyed my time smoking. I just did. And I hope that I haven't messed my body up too bad in that amount of time. There was a time when I was working graveyards at a convenience store where I smoked an entire pack of cigarettes over the course of the night, and then I'd buy another pack of cigarettes before the end of my shift, and I would take that home. My partner and I, my boyfriend at the time, and I would smoke those cigarettes, and then I would go to work and I would buy another pack of cigarettes. So I smoked a pack and a half a day. Or close to it, because I was asleep most of the time that I was at home because I was working graveyards. But I mean, it was over a pack of cigarettes, which is, I'm a very small person, and I have a hard time these days imagining how I survived that period of my life. It was all around bad, between the cigarettes and the graveyard shift and the drinking lots of Coca-Cola. It was really bad. So yeah, and I mean, I'm only 27, and that's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool time of my life. I get to be mature enough to really, like, look at my life in a way that I haven't been able to in the past. Like, I actually have enough to look back on now that it's very meaningful. I've got kids, I have a lot of purpose in looking forward, and I feel like if I really take control of my health, that I can do a lot from here. And that's another thing is this year is the best year so far at this point, and because it can get bad by February sometimes. But as far as how my health is going over the course of this winter, I'm feeling fantastic compared to other years. Certainly even just a couple of years ago, my skin was in much worse condition and all kinds of things. So I am very grateful. I am very grateful for your time. If you're still watching this, thank you so much. And just for the position that I'm at in my life right now. And even though things have been very stressful, and so it's been keeping me away from doing this, which is one of the things I get a lot of joy out of, one of the things that has been really cool about that is just sitting back and realizing, like, man, I really love making these videos. And I love the feedback that I get, and I love feeling like these things are helping people, and I'm really proud of the information that I'm putting out there because I put a lot of work into the research that I do and trying to put it together in a way that people can really, like, enjoy watching and use. So I couldn't be happier about that. This is a huge thing to me, and I have one more term of school between now and when I will have my transfer degree. I don't know what I'll be doing with that transfer degree once I have it, but I do know I will be taking at least 6 months off from being in school, and a lot of that is about I want to focus on making these YouTube channels really happen, because it's, even if it takes another 5 years for these things to take off or become anything, even if in the meantime YouTube is no longer the platform for videos like this and it becomes something else and I have to, promote things from my own website or something like that, that's all fine with me, because I'm getting enough out of making these videos. But a lot of what I'm getting out of the videos is, wow, people are finding these and they're getting something back out of that. And that's awesome. That's firing me up a lot. So take care. I really hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas, if that's your thing, but happy holidays to everyone. And I wish everyone a very happy New Year, and I will be doing between now and New Year's at least one video tomorrow for my Ultra Human channel that is about the power of our minds and our mindset and our perspective, to hopefully help everybody going between now and into next year. So thank you very much for joining me. This was Rachel with Mercury Rising, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.